Bees are magnificent insects that give us honey, something we all admire for its taste and benefits, but how this small creature can produce such a thing? Today we are going to unleash nature's sweetest secret of how bees make honey. But before that, do not forget to hit the subscribe button and enable the bell to stay updated and support our incoming content. The journey to honey begins with the queen bee, the heart and leader of the colony. As the sole fertile female, her role is crucial in maintaining the population of the hive. She lays eggs that will develop into either workers, drones, or new queens. Capable of laying up to 2,000 eggs per day during peak seasons, the queen ensures the hive remains populated with bees to perform the vital tasks needed for honey production. However, the queen's contribution extends beyond reproduction. Her pheromones, the chemical signals she releases, help maintain social order within the colony, ensuring that each bee performs its assigned role, a dynamic that will soon play a part in the construction and operation of the hive. The worker bees begin building the intricate wax structure of the hive. These wax cells serve multiple purposes, such as storing honey, pollen, and housing larvae. The workers use a precise hexagonal design, which is nature's most efficient way of using space and materials. This efficiency is essential, as it minimizes the wax needed while maximizing storage for the honey that will soon fill these cells. The cells also provide the space for the eggs laid by the queen, which will soon develop into larvae. The construction of these cells is the first step in preparing the hive for both nurturing new bees and storing the food necessary for their survival. During this stage, the larvae are entirely dependent on the worker bees for nourishment and care. Initially, all larvae are fed royal jelly, a nutrient-rich secretion that allows them to grow rapidly. However, after a few days, only the larvae destined to become queens continue receiving this special diet. The rest are fed a mixture of pollen and honey, marking their path toward becoming worker bees or drones. This period of care is critical as the larvae mature into adult bees, taking on essential roles in the hive, roles that will soon lead to the production of honey. As the larvae mature into adult worker bees, they immediately begin contributing to the hive. These young workers take on responsibilities within the hive, such as cleaning, feeding the larvae, and maintaining the queen's health. As they age, they transition to more demanding roles like building wax cells, producing honey, and eventually becoming foragers who leave the hive in search of nectar and pollen. The worker bees are the backbone of honey production. Each worker's life cycle ensures that the hive is constantly maintained, cleaned, and ready to store the nectar that will eventually become honey. But how do they find the nectar in the first place? This is where communication comes into play. Bees rely on highly sophisticated methods of communication to coordinate their activities, especially when foraging for nectar. The most well-known method is the waggle dance, a way for forager bees to share information about the location of food sources. Through this dance, bees can convey detailed information about the distance and direction of a nectar source relative to the position of the sun. In addition to the waggle dance, bees use pheromones to signal important information, such as warnings of danger or the queen's status. This seamless communication ensures that the colony operates as a unified whole, guiding the foragers to new nectar sources that are essential for honey production. Once the forager bees receive instructions via the waggle dance, they head out in search of nectar-rich flowers. Scout bees, who act as the hive's explorers, are constantly searching for the best locations for nectar and pollen. Upon discovering a promising site, they return to the hive and communicate its location to the foragers through their dance. The selection of a nectar location is a critical decision, as it determines the quality and quantity of nectar available to the colony. With efficient communication and decision-making, the bees ensure that their energy is invested in the richest sources, laying the groundwork for a productive honeymaking process. Once a location has been identified, forager bees begin collecting nectar using their long, tube-like tongues. They store the nectar in a special stomach called the honey stomach, designed specifically for transporting nectar. A single forager can visit hundreds of flowers on one trip, filling her honey stomach before returning to the hive. During this collection process, bees also facilitate pollination by transferring pollen between flowers, ensuring the reproduction of plants, a vital role that further underscores the importance of bees in ecosystems. Upon returning to the hive, the foragers pass the nectar to other worker bees, which sets the stage for the nectar's transformation into honey. Once the nectar is brought back to the hive, the transformation into honey begins. The nectar is passed from one bee to another, a process known as trophallaxis. This constant exchange reduces the nectar's water content and adds enzymes that break down complex sugars into simpler ones, which makes the nectar more digestible and resistant to spoilage. The bees then deposit the processed nectar into wax cells. Worker bees fan the nectar with their wings, further evaporating water until the nectar thickens into honey. Once the honey has the right consistency, the bees seal the cells with a thin layer of wax, preserving the honey for future use. Honey is not just a product for human consumption, it is the primary food source for bees. They collect honey to sustain the colony during the colder months when flowers are no longer in bloom and nectar is unavailable. The stored honey provides the energy needed for the bees to survive and continue their activities when foraging is not possible. This stockpiling of honey is essential for the survival of the colony, especially during winter. Without enough honey, the colony would starve, underscoring why honey production is a matter of life and death for the bees. Given the critical role bees play in both honey production and pollination, preserving bee populations is vital for sustaining ecosystems and human food supplies. Bees are responsible for pollinating roughly 75% of the world's crops, including fruits, vegetables, and nuts. Without them, food production would decline dramatically, leading to shortages and higher prices for essential crops. However, bee populations are declining due to factors such as pesticide use, habitat loss, and climate change. Protecting bees through conservation efforts, reducing pesticide exposure, and preserving natural habitats is essential to ensure the survival of these critical pollinators. By addressing the challenges bees face, whether through conservation, reducing chemical use, or promoting sustainable farming practices, we safeguard not only the future of bee populations but also the future of humanity. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey of how bees make honey. We would love to hear your thoughts into the comment sections about what you like to see in the next video. See you on the next one.